I'm Bill Roberts, and I'm 62, and I'm retired now, and I've been living in Grappan Hall for 7 years. Ostensibly, with a gang of other dedicated people, we're looking after a Facebook group which is all about social awareness. We're trying to make the people of WA4 and the wider areas of Warrington aware of what's going on with the council plans, what they call a preferred development option, which will become a draft local plan when they deem to release it, probably about the end of December 2018. Most of the people we speak or who actually get on the Facebook group are unaware of the plans. It seems to be almost a secret society between the developers and Warrington Borough Council. And for me and the other people who are dedicated to actually getting the word out there, it's about awareness, and it's about community, and it's about having input into the futures, not just for us, but for the younger people of Warrington. Yeah, the people who are 30 and 40, the people who will be here long after we've gone.
I'm Tanya Baker. I live in Latchford. I've lived there since approximately 2013, but I've been in Warrington since the early noughties. I've got 3 children, 2 of which have moved out, and I work in human resources in Liverpool, and that's not very exciting. Well, Helen and I are our group of our own, if you like, Canaries on Tour. So we're not really representing a group apart from ourselves. Well, nothing is going to happen to my house in theory. However, the railway track that they potentially could put on the Transpennine Trail, the railway track that is behind my house that runs over the Black Bear could potentially end up being a road. I'm personally very, very concerned about the wildlife and the ecosystem of the area, and I feel that it might not affect me personally, but there will be a huge, huge effect on the people around me, because they will lose everything that we have grown up learning about. I would hope that the council would see sense and realise that we need these green spaces. They don't have to build on the green space, and my fear is that they will just ignore us completely and build on green space simply because it's cheaper to do so.
I'm Helen Ganoni. I've lived in Grappan Hall for 22 years. I'm 51 years old, and I'm a not working doctor of medicine at the moment. Well, we represent ourselves basically. We're Canaries on Tour. Myself personally, my house may be subject to compulsory purchase if the Transpennine Trail bypass goes ahead. So that's behind my house on the old railway line. I hope that they temper down the massive development plans that they've got for Warrington and try very hard to fit all the necessary housing, which we obviously do need, onto the brownfield, and not disturb the greenfield sites, and not disturb the communities as much as their plans are going to do. And my fear, I suppose, is that they won't take any notice of us and they'll just carry on and do whatever they want.
My name's Paul Mercer. I've been working alongside the Rethinking South Warrington group. I think the developments, the proposed developments, will affect not just me, obviously, but many other people in this area. Me particularly, I like the green countryside. I have a dog, which I do a lot of dog walking, so obviously there'll be less places to walk dogs, but that's not just the only concern, of course. I think the lack of green space does have problems for a lot of people that are unable to relax, in a recreational way. Of course, this green space being taken up by houses and more roads will increase the traffic levels in this area. That will also increase pollution. I feel that there's going to be a lot of loss of wildlife habitat, which again is not fair. Well, My hopes will be that we see some sensible decisions made at government level. Inevitable that we're going to see some levels of development. People will need homes to live in, but I also think that it needs to be looked at seriously as to the kind of homes that people are going to be living in. My fears are that many people won't be able to afford the homes that are proposed in this area unless those steps are taken.
Okay, so who are you?
Lisa Cooper. I'm part of a group called the Friends of Morley Common. Well, in terms of where I live, I'll be in the middle of two new road developments. The Centre Park or the Centre Link Road, which will go in through Slutcher's Lane over the River Mersey, and then the proposed Western Link. And so I'm in an area amongst all my other neighbours where we'll be squashed between two quite significant roads. I realise that they're needed, but I'm just not sure this is the right way to ease the problem of congestion, to be honest. So that's one of my serious concerns. Well, in terms of fears, I'm concerned that the communities aren't being fully listened to when we've been involved in the consultations. The council seem to be pretty much committed to a set of plans which don't really align with the views and aspirations of the local community. And if they continue to do this, they're just going to alienate a lot of people. And I'm a big fan of local democracy, and I just think people are just going to get disengaged and not interested in taking part in local politics, such as the local elections, which are coming up in 2020 in Warrington. If the development comes off, the Western Link, then I'm concerned about the effects on our local environment in terms of the displacement of wildlife, the effects on pollution and air quality. Warrington, at the moment, hasn't got a great level of air quality. That's going to increase with more heavy goods vehicles on the roads. The noise pollution is going to be significant. At the moment, it's a relatively quiet area that we live in, and during the construction, that'll be bad enough, which will take a number of months, and then afterwards, the rumbling of traffic and lorries, virtually on our doorstep, will be probably quite stressful. Not something I'm looking forward to, and a lot of my other neighbours are not looking forward to it.
The sort of development that we're talking about here, or the scale of the development, is truly massive. If Warrington Borough Council go ahead with this scheme, they'll completely blitz 90% of the green belt that exists in South Warrington. Yeah, and what will they replace that with? Are they going to replace it with places for people to live? People who need the houses, people who need social housing, which is Warrington's biggest problem at the moment. More than 3,000 families need social housing in Warrington. Warrington Borough Council have built maybe, if we're lucky, 200 to 300 in the last 5 years. Yeah, so there's a deficit of 3,000 social housing homes that need to be built. Is it the intention for the council to build social housing? No, I'm afraid not. There are no plans to build any social houses in Warrington that I can see or the council can point me to at the moment. The intent is clearly to ravage the green belt, and in the spaces where they're not going to build logistics warehousing sheds for some of the big conglomerates like Amazon and Eddie Stobbart and co, they'll be building banned D, E, F and G houses to create cash revenue to offset the massive council debt that they've got us involved in at the moment. So how will it affect us? It's going to affect our kids' future massively. It'll never be returned to Greenbelt. The space that we're looking at now, I mean, you'll see some shots of this in the film we've just shot. This is farmland which is used. There's a working farm here, and you'll see some shots of the working farm. It's land where there's 7 freehold houses here. We're now facing a planning application from a speculative developer to actually rip up what equates to 40 rugby pitches, 40 times the size of the Halliwell Jones Stadium, yeah, and turn it into warehousing sheds, yeah, which will operate 24/7 in the middle of a small housing establishment here of 7 houses who will either be forced out or bought out by the speculative developer if this gets the go-ahead from Warrington Borough Council. Well, my hopes is that councils will listen. My hopes is that Facebook groups will get a little bit more credibility with the council, and they'll see them as an opportunity to tap into local feeling and local colour, local pride, local ideas, local initiatives. They should embrace them and welcome them as cheap but incredibly valuable input into all of the schemes that they're thinking of doing. I'm hoping for more inclusion from councils. I'm hoping to see the councils actually do something with the way in which they organise themselves. I don't see anybody in the council who's looking after Facebook groups or local groups, or including them, or finding ways to release initiatives that they have into the council domain. It almost seems like a fight to get those views heard. It seems very confrontational. It's the Facebook groups or local groups against the council. It doesn't have to be like that. Yeah, let's get together and do something in a much more inclusive and progressive fashion than we have now. I'd also like to see somebody from the council be a little bit more visionary. I don't think anybody in the council's got much of a clue about what the gig economy means. I don't think they understand what young people need. I don't think they tap into young people's hopes and aspirations. I really don't think they're building Warrington town for the future. Yeah, I mean, on a personal note, I see the regeneration of Warrington town centre. As I say, I'm 62, you know, what do I know? But even I can think that building a purpose-built cinema in the town centre, and what's the other thing to build? A 10-pin bowling alley. It's not really what kids who are 15, 16, 17, 18 really want. They're those sort of kids who are the future of Warrington town. Do they really go to the cinema now? Do they really do 10-pin bowling? No. I think they've got 1,000 other things and 1,001 other technical things that they want to do at the time. Why aren't we tapping into that? Why doesn't Warrington Borough Council have a counsellor for the young? Why doesn't he actually go to the schools or invite them into seminars where they can say what they want? I think the world's moved on a bit, and for me, my hope for Warrington is that they do embrace the future in a healthy way, and they actually appoint people who listen to young people, because a town without young people is going to be a dead town. The middle of the town is dead now. The middle of the town is decayed. I'd love to see that actually brought back to life in different ways. Yeah, I'd like Warrington to do something more like we see at Altrincham, with pop-up markets and pop-up events and spirit of the moment things which are well advertised and young people can go to. I don't see that happening. I see old thinking, yeah, which will result in old results which are poor, yeah, and poor outcomes for young people. So I want to see more vibrancy, I want to see more thought, I want to see more inclusion, and I want to see more local people involved in council decisions. That's my hope. My fears are that will never happen, because the council see it as a confrontational set of events. They need to embrace the community. It's the community what makes Warrington. It's not the community that kills Warrington. What kills Warrington is poor decisions by a poorly informed council. And the council needs more information. They need to get themselves ready for fact-based discussions, whether it's with the public or whether it's with developers. I understand the need for change. Yeah, I've been involved all my life in industry which is a change. I used to be a change manager for a global company, so I understand the value of change, yeah, but not the way in which Warrington Borough Council are going about it.